09, and we have chosen to adopt task 2, choice to watch pornography or not. My name is Lynn, and I shall be introducing and concluding today's presentation. This is Victor, who shall take us through our first strategy, and this is Tahira and Deon, who shall jointly be taking us through strategy 2. Perhaps you may be asking why we have chosen to take on this particular topic. Well, it's because we have come to realize through surveys that our target audience, which are teens between the ages of 15 to 18, are more prone to online pornography addiction. Also, the prevalence of negative online media such as porn in everyday products such as cars, Pepsi, or even ice cream influence teens into thinking that the values that porn promote is right and acceptable. These teenagers are at the age whereby the things that they see and hear affect the way their minds develop. And just like how a building without a strong foundation would crumble in the face of external pressures, likewise, teenagers who do not have a well-developed mind will also fall easily to these vices. This mindset has thus caused the rising trend of pornography addicts worldwide. Research has shown that 3/4 of teenagers aged 15 to 18 are prone to have viewed pornography before, and out of these 3/4, 1/8 are addicted. And bringing this problem into a local context, porn addiction is a cause for concern, as our conservative society do not allow us to openly discuss sexuality issues. Basic curious questions such as how babies are made, are either answered with fictional facts or simply ignored. This has resulted in a lack of emphasis in helping teenagers cope with the temptations to surf online pornography, as well as a lack of available platforms in helping teenagers overcome porn addiction. Imagine a Singapore full of people addicted to these vices. Their productivity at work would be lowered, and this would affect Singapore's economy. And this highly worrying situation would be difficult to rectify if we do not nip it in the bud. Hence, we have come up with 2 strategies which we hope can help solve this problem. Firstly, we hope to implement a change in the current sex ed program, as well as create a monitoring and counseling system which we hope can help teenagers overcome the problems of porn addiction. So without further ado, let me hand the time on to Victor, who shall take us through the first strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Hi, I'm Victor. Before I continue, before I go on to talking about our proposal, I would just like to take us through the current curriculum of the current sexuality education program. Now, the current system comprises of a series of sexuality education talks given at secondary and tertiary schools. Now, and these talks are centric on community, school, and home. But this begs the question, how effective is the current curriculum? Now, before I continue, I would just like to ask the audience a question. How many of you feel that the current sexuality education program is effective? If the answer is yes, please raise your hands. Well, as you can see, this coincides with our research that we have done among 50 teenagers. 85% of which feel that 1. Sexuality education is not important, 2. 1. Sexuality education is ineffective, 2. It does not satisfy teenagers' curiosity, and 3. They rather get their answers from elsewhere. Now, where does the problem lie then? Most interviewees have stated that sexuality education in Singapore is too conservative and unable to spark students' interest. Our team has also identified a glitch in the current curriculum in sexuality education. Remember the MOE framework? Well, there's a hole in this system. Where is this hole then? It's not in community, which provides sexuality education counselors for the purpose of educating the teens. It's not in the schools, which provide a platform for students to learn more about sexuality education. Ladies and gentlemen, the main problem here is exclusively home. To date, our team has been unable to find any concerted effort to place emphasis on the home segment of sexuality education in Singapore. Hence, we propose restructuring. Restructuring for the adoption of a more frank and open approach towards sexuality education, as well as the inclusion of parents in the sexuality education of their children. We believe that sexuality education should aim to put facts front as early as the first lesson for secondary school students. This would solve the problem of too little facts coming too late. Also, what we're suggesting here is for the adoption of tertiary education sexuality education modules for secondary school students. However, for tertiary education students, we would like to take this opportunity to develop the analytical and critical thinking skills. With that in mind, lessons will be conducted in twos. The first lesson will be a content-based lesson, which could take form in the shape of a conventional lesson, a debate, or even a theatre forum. The second lesson will be an engagement lesson, where students will have to use content for the first lesson in order to participate in the activities of the second lesson. Also, next I would like to talk about the inclusion of parents in the sexuality education framework. While the students are in school studying sexuality education, their parents will be invited twice per semester to attend a parents' workshop, which will be centric on adopting a more open mindset towards sexuality education and general topics. And interaction sessions will be held in schools for the purpose of breaking down barriers between parent and child. What does this mean then? Well, most parents would face awkwardness and anxiety when speaking to their children the first time about sexuality education. As such, we will have professional counselors on scene during the first session to help facilitate this breaking down of barriers. For the second session, however, we feel that we should just allow parent and child to interact independently and discuss about sexuality issues. Feedback will be collected at the end of these two sessions for the purpose of improving the system. Feedback collected at the end of the first session will go to improving the next semester's curriculum, and feedback collected at the end of the second session will go to improving the curriculum for the next batch of students next year. Now we hope that this approach will help discourage teenagers from accessing online pornography to have their questions answered. Now I would like to pass the time over to Deon here, who will be covering the next segment of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. My name is Deon, and I'll be talking to you about the second strategy of our project today. As a restructured sexuality education program that my groupmate Victor had explained to you earlier serves to answer questions such as curious teenagers may have about online pornography, the fact still remains that teenagers are in an age where they're experiencing hormonal growth and increased sexual curiosity. Such that they might be tempted to go online to search out online pornography. Therefore, we need to employ other strategies to solve the problem of online pornography addiction. Strategy 2 is split into two parts: counseling and monitoring. Today, I'll be talking about part A, counseling, while my groupmate Tahira will be talking about part B, monitoring. Now let's begin. First off, I'd like to introduce to you Helpful Friends Foundation, or the HFF. Now what is the HFF? The HFF is a rehabilitation center that we propose to set up to help addicted teenagers seek help. The HFF serves as a platform for addicted teenagers to refer themselves to seek help, or for friends and families of addicted teenagers to refer them to the center to seek help. Now at this point in time, you might be wondering, why counseling? This is because as teenagers are in an age or they are experiencing hormonal growth and increased sexual curiosity, teenagers may feel embarrassed to talk about their pornography addiction. However, it is important for them to realize, accept, and address the fact that they are addicted to online pornography and do something about it. Therefore, we have counseling. To add on to this, as teenagers grow older, their minds become more concrete. This also means that as they grow older, their minds are less impressionable and it is harder to kick a bad habit, especially the bad habit is watching online pornography. Firstly, when addicts enter the HFF, they will be presented a survey. The survey will ask questions such as how often they watch pornography in a week, or how willing they are to talk about their pornography addiction. Based on these results, addicts will be then sorted into two groups, mild and severe. For the mild group of addicts, teenagers will be informed of the negative impacts of online pornography, such as the objectification of women. Counselors will also inform teenagers of activities they will take up or hobbies such as sports or going out with their friends or family. For the mild group, in this case, each session will last for 45 to 60 minutes. Now, you might be wondering, how does the severe group of addicts differ from the mild group of addicts? Well, in addition to what the counsellor will do for the mild group of addicts, for the severe group of addicts, counsellors will meet the addicts twice a week for group counselling sessions that will last for about 1.5 to 2 hours. In a survey that we conducted on 50 teenagers, 84% of them cited that they were not comfortable talking about sensitive topics such as online pornography addiction. This suggests that addicts who visit the HFF would not be likely to talk about their online pornography addiction as they might feel uncomfortable. Therefore, our strategy has to incorporate ideas to make the addict feel more comfortable talking about their addiction. As such, I present to you the HFF's counselling room. Now let's take a few seconds to study the counselling room. As some of you may have noticed there's a bamboo screen separating the addict and the counselor, and people were asking why. Why is it so? Well, the bamboo screen serves as a partition in between the addict and the counselor to ensure the anonymity of the addict, as both the addict and the counselor will be unable to see each other. Therefore, the addict will feel more comfortable talking about his or her problems. This system will continue all the way until the addict is more comfortable to talk to the counselor face to face. At the end of each session, the addict will be made to record the number of times they watch pornography in a week on a phone application. Based on these results, counselors will also provide an after-session review for the addicts and then subsequently sort them into counselors of various expertise based on their needs. This brings us to the end of Part A of counseling, while Part B, monitoring, will be explained to you by my groupmate Tahira. Tahira, please.
Thank you, Deon. Hello everyone, my name is Tahira and I will be talking about the second stage of secondary health, monitoring. Now there is a need for monitoring because there is always a chance that the teenage addict will be dishonest about the information they provide us about their addiction to pornography. For example, they might give us a smaller number for the number of times they view pornography in a week. This would affect the approaches taken by the counselor to help them, since the counselor will not be working with accurate figures. Thus, it is very clear that we need to come up with a way to make sure that we can track the addict's pornography viewing, so that the counselor and the psychologist can jointly come up with more efficient approaches to help the addict get over his addiction. And this is where our strategy comes in. Now before I begin, I would like to ask, how many of you think that the current safety filters such as Safe Search are truly effective? Can I see a show of hands? So from the response I'm getting, I can safely assume that most of us here find the current filters not very efficient and an inadequate measure to ensure that teenage addicts are unable to watch pornography online. This is because with the current filters, it is very easy to change the settings and addicts can easily watch pornography online without people even knowing. And thus, we propose a change in plans. We propose to install a filter in the addict's electronic devices that will be able to deter addicts from even wanting to watch online porn. This filter will be downloaded into all the electronic devices owned by the addict, for example, his phone or even his laptop. This is because it is through these devices that the addict has the highest chance of trying to access online porn. Since the addict will have full information on how the filter works, he will not want to watch online porn. Now, the HFF will provide the filter, and the filter will send an automated text message every time the addict tries to watch online porn. How will the filter do this? Very simple. Every time the addict tries to access a web page that asks for age confirmation, has a disclaimer for pornographic or adult content, and especially web pages that are banned by the NDA. Since the filter will be closely connected to the addict's phone, the message will be sent instantly, and this issue will then be brought up in the next counseling session that the addict goes for. Now, this issue, the counselor will ask the addict to go for extra counseling sessions if the addict continues to watch online porn with the excessive messages. As mentioned earlier, the addict will have full information on how the filter works, so he will not watch pornography online since he will be hesitant to go for extra sessions, as well as feel ashamed of facing his referrer during these sessions where he will be questioned on why he is unable to curb his desire to watch online pornography. Through this, the addict will be deterred from wanting to watch porn. Now what happens if the addict fails? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if the addict fails to gradually decrease his viewing of porn, the counselor will ask him to come for even more sessions of counseling and might also move him from the mild section to the severe section. And continual failure of following a gradual process of decreasing his viewing of pornography, as well as continual reception of excessive messages, might also get the addict to be expelled from the HFF, since there's only that much HFF can do if the addict himself is not ready to change. However, HFF counselors will try their best to keep the addict in HFF, since we believe that every person deserves a second chance despite a failure. And this makes up our combined strategy of secondary health. I will now pass the time to Lynn, who will do the cover-up for our project.
Thank you, Tahira. So as we have heard earlier from our groupmates, let me do again a short recap of our two strategies. Firstly, we propose revamping Singapore's sex ed to adopt a more open and frank approach. Secondly, we propose implementing a counseling rehabilitation center called the HFM to help addicts overcome their problems of porn addiction. Although we know that our strategies have their limitations and it is not possible to completely eliminate porn addiction, but we hope that our strategies will be able to create a ripple effect generating more change in the future. And with that, we have come to the end of our presentation. Thank you.